Hey everyone, so I just read this really incredible article about Nepal's education system, and I knew I had to break it down for you. It's by Yogendra Singh Dhami, published on Bishwash Khabar Media, and I've got to say a huge thank you to them for putting these crucial ideas out into the world. It's a piece that really makes you think, so let's get right into it.
Right off the bat, the author hits us with this powerful idea: education is the backbone of any nation. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's so true. Everything a country hopes to be, prosperous, well-run, a place with strong values, it all traces back to the quality of its education.
So for this breakdown, we're going to walk through the main arguments in Dhami's article. It really paints a vivid picture of a system that's facing some serious challenges. But, and this is the important part, it also offers a way forward. So where does all the trouble really start?
I just love this way of framing it. The author basically says to think of schools and universities as these giant factories, but instead of making cars or phones, their job is to build the nation's future by creating capable, ethical citizens. Which leads to a really chilling question. What happens when that factory gets contaminated?
And this slide, wow, it just perfectly captures the core problem. On the left, you've got the dream, right? Education as a temple of knowledge, a place for independent thinking. But then you look at the right, and you see the reality the article describes. It's become an arena for self-interest, all about party quotas, political favors, and using education as just another ladder to climb to get to power.
So what does this contamination actually look like in the real world? Well, according to the author, this isn't some abstract, high-level issue. The damage is happening at every single level, starting right at the very bottom.
And the article argues that the most dangerous place this is all happening is in the schools themselves. We're talking about the place where kids are supposed to be forming their own ideas about the world, but instead, they're getting a masterclass in politics. And this isn't just a theory. The author paints this picture of schools being turned into political labs. I mean, just imagine it. Teachers and even students are divided by which political party they support. Kids are being pulled from their lessons to go to rallies. I mean, how is a child supposed to learn how to think for themselves in an environment like that? It's just impossible.
And, well, as you might guess, this problem doesn't get better with age. It actually gets much, much worse. By the time we get to the university level, the article says this political interference has become a full-blown crisis, poisoning the very leadership of higher education.
A huge part of the problem is this system called Bagbanda, which is basically political quotas for all the top jobs. So think about that for a second. The people running the universities aren't being chosen because they're brilliant educators or leaders. No, they're chosen for their party loyalty. And the result? Academic freedom dies, research stalls, and the whole system is just plagued by protests and chaos.
But here's where it gets even bigger. The author argues this isn't just an education problem anymore. It's a crisis of culture. The decay inside the schools and universities starts to seep out and poison the entire society, changing how a whole generation thinks about success.
And this leads to one of the most toxic side effects, what the article calls Safari's Sanskriti, or a recommendation culture. It's this idea that becomes totally normal where what you know takes a back seat to who you know. Your qualifications don't matter as much as your political connections.
This quote from the article is absolutely chilling. It says, children are learning from a young age that access works better than merit and party loyalty is the key to success. When that's the lesson you teach your kids, you're setting up a cycle of corruption that could hold the country back for generations.
Okay, so that's a pretty heavy diagnosis, right? It's a bleak picture. But the article doesn't just leave us there in despair. It actually lays out a clear plan to fix things, what it calls the path to purification. So, what does that look like?
And here it is, a really bold 5-step roadmap for reform. Step 1, make schools legally politics-free zones, period. Then, reform the unions so they're about education, not just acting as arms of political parties. And maybe most importantly, create transparent, merit-based systems for hiring and promotions. It's basically a full system reboot designed to get politics out of the classroom for good.
And this is a really smart point the author makes. This isn't about being anti-politics. Of course, politics has a role in setting national policy. That's its job. The problem is when it crosses a sacred line and starts interfering in the actual classroom, in how things are taught and how schools are run. That's the line that needs to be redrawn. And the article leaves us with this beautiful, really powerful metaphor. Education is a temple, not politics should rule there. I mean, that just says it all, doesn't it? The ultimate goal is to restore education to its rightful place as a sacred space for learning.
So we're left with the big question. The article gives us the blueprint, the ideal. But how do we turn that ideal into a reality? How does an entire society, from the highest levels of government all the way down to every parent and student, come together to make this happen? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.